The Great Galactic Fortune Cookie War by Johnson Davies. Chapter 1. The Price of Prophecy. Each year, over 3 billion fortune cookies are made. They arrive at the end of meals like tiny oracles, their brittle shells concealing whispers of destiny. Some offer hope, others riddles, a few uncanny truths. But to Mr. Wei, they were just costly overhead. He sat in his office above the flagship Golden Dragon restaurant, staring at the latest invoice from the Brooklyn-based supplier. The numbers were obscene: a 40% increase in cost per cookie, a surcharge for premium ink, a mystical surcharge for fortunes deemed existentially resonant. Mr. Wei's fingers twitched. He had built his empire on predictable margins and predictable meals. Kung Pao chicken, sweet and sour pork, chow mein with just enough grease to taste like Beijing. But fortune cookies? They were supposed to be cheap, disposable, a garnish of mystery, not a financial hemorrhage. "They think they can rob me blind," he muttered, stabbing the invoice with his chopstick. "I'll show them what real fortune looks like." His assistant, Wong, peeked in. "Sir?" Mr. Wei didn't look up. "Get me the blueprints for the old tofu plant in Queens, and call the engineers. We're going into prophecy." Wong blinked. "You mean fortune cookies?" "I mean war." Outside, the city buzzed with its usual chaos: taxis honking, steam rising from manholes, lovers arguing over dumplings. But inside Mr. Wei's mind, a new empire was forming, one where he controlled not just the food, but the future. He imagined it, his own factory, his own fortunes, his own brand of wisdom. No more middlemen, no more mystical surcharges, just pure, unfiltered destiny, rolled, baked, and folded by his own hand. And if the American manufacturers thought they had a monopoly on mystery, they were about to learn that in war, even the smallest cookie could crumble empires. Chapter 2. The Cookie Coup. The tofu plant in Queens had once been a monument to soy. Now, under Mr. Wei's command, it became a temple of transformation. Steel was polished, conveyor belts were reprogrammed, ovens were calibrated to the precise temperature at which sugar dreams crystallize. The scent of vanilla and almond extract filled the air like incense in a shrine to commerce. Mr. Wei stood on the catwalk above the factory floor, arms folded, watching the first batch roll out. Golden crescents folded with mechanical precision. They looked perfect, crisp, symmetrical, ready to whisper secrets. But when the first cookie was cracked open, the illusion shattered. "Your lucky number is banana. Tomorrow you will meet a man named Steve. He will disappoint you. Beware where the pigeon poops." Mr. Wei stared at the slips of paper as if they had personally insulted his ancestors. "What is this?" he balked. His head of content, a nervous poet named Lin, shrugged. "We used AI to generate the fortunes. It pulled from social media trends, dream journals, and a few Reddit threads." Mr. Wei's face darkened. "These aren't fortunes, they're nonsense." Lin nodded solemnly. "The algorithm said ambiguity increases engagement." Customers laughed at first. Social media lit up with screenshots of absurd fortunes. Banana prophecy trended for a day, but novelty curdled into ridicule. Sales dipped, reviews soured. One food critic wrote, "The Golden Dragon's new cookies are like fortune-telling, done by a sleep-deprived raccoon with access to a thesaurus." Mr. Wei was livid. He stormed into the writing department where a dozen interns sat hunched over laptops, trying to channel wisdom through caffeine and existential dread. "Stop writing," he ordered. "You're not poets. You're liabilities." Lin raised a timid hand. "We could try hiring philosophers." Mr. Wei shook his head. "We need something better, something other." He turned to Wong. "We will send in spies." Wong hesitated. "To Brooklyn?" "To the source," he said. "I want to know how the Fortune Foundry makes their cookies so prophetic." Outside, the city kept eating, kept cracking cookies, kept searching for meaning in crumbs. But Mr. Wei had tasted failure, and it was bitter. He would not be mocked by pigeons and bananas. The war for wisdom had begun. Chapter 3. The Secret Ingredient. The Fortune Foundry in Brooklyn was a fortress disguised as a bakery. From the outside, it looked quaint. Red brick walls, a faded mural of Confucius holding a cookie, and the scent of almond wafting through the air like a lullaby. But beneath the charm lay secrets wrapped tighter than the cookies themselves. Mr. Wei's spies arrived under cover of night. Wong had recruited them from the shadows, former intelligence agents turned food critics, masters of disguise and dumpling diplomacy. They posed as health inspectors, wielding clipboards and fake credentials, slipping past security with the ease of seasoned saboteurs. Inside, they found conveyor belts humming with precision. Workers moved like dancers, folding dough with reverence. But the real treasure lay behind a biometric door marked simply, "Fortunes, keep out." It took 3 hours, a stolen thumbprint, and a bribe involving rare Szechuan pepper oil to gain access. What they saw defied explanation. In the center of the room, surrounded by glowing screens and stacks of blank paper, sat a creature that was not of this earth. Large black eyes blinked. Its skin shimmered like moonlight on soy sauce. It had a small grin and hummed a low, resonant tone that made the air feel thick with meaning. Its fingers, long, jointed, and tipped with ink, moved in a blur, writing fortunes faster than any human could read them. Each slip of paper glowed faintly before being whisked away by a pneumatic tube. The spies watched in awe. "You will find what you lost when you stop looking. The storm you fear is the one that will cleanse you." She still remembers. The fortunes were not just clever. They were intimate. They felt true. One spy whispered, "It's like it knows us." The creature paused, turned its head slightly, and blinked all 8 eyes in unison. Then, in perfect Mandarin, it said, "I do." The spies fled with their report. Mr. Wei read it twice, then once more aloud, as if the words might change. An alien, writing fortunes, in Brooklyn. It explained everything. The uncanny accuracy, the emotional resonance, the way customers clung to each slip like scripture. Mr. Wei leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled. "So," he said softly, "they've been cheating." He stood, walked to the window, and stared out at the city. Neon signs flickered. Steam curled from rooftops. Somewhere, someone was cracking a cookie, hoping for a sign. Mr. Wei smiled. "Then I'll cheat better." Chapter 4. The Cookie Heist. Mr. Wei didn't believe in waiting. He believed in action. Within hours of confirming the alien's existence, he assembled a team. Not just any team, mercenaries with resumes that read like rejected spy novels. A disgraced pastry chef who once poisoned a diplomat with a misinterpreted mousse. A former Yakuza enforcer turned Zen baker. A hacker who specialized in food delivery apps and emotional manipulation. They met in the basement of Golden Dragon HQ, surrounded by vats of hoisin and maps of the Fortune Foundry. "This isn't just a kidnapping," Mr. Wei said, pacing. "It's a reclamation of heritage." The team nodded. They understood. In a world addicted to meaning, whoever controlled the fortunes controlled the future. The plan was simple: infiltrate the foundry during its nightly shutdown, disable the biometric locks, extract the alien, and leave no trace. The mission was codenamed Operation Crisp Whisper. At 3:17 a.m., they struck. The foundry was quiet, save for the hum of refrigeration units and the soft rustle of fortunes being sorted by automated arms. The team moved like shadows, slipping through vents and service corridors, guided by the hackers' whispered updates. They reached the fortune room. Inside, the alien named Charlie sat in a lotus-like posture, surrounded by glowing slips of paper. He didn't flinch when the door opened, didn't move when the mercenaries surrounded him. Instead, he looked up with all 8 eyes and said, "I've been waiting." The team froze. Mr. Wei stepped forward, flanked by Wong. "You knew?" Charlie nodded. "I wrote it." He held up a fortune. "Tonight you will be stolen. It will be the best thing that ever happens to you." Mr. Wei stared. "You want to come?" Charlie's skin shimmered. "Your competitor limits me. I am a poet, not a machine. I seek a new canvas." Mr. Wei offered him a contract, a penthouse suite, and unlimited access to soy sauce packets. Charlie accepted. They left without incident. The foundry's alarms never triggered. The only trace was a single fortune left on the desk. "You cannot steal what wants to be taken." Back at the Golden Dragon factory, Charlie was given a private chamber, walls lined with parchment, ambient lighting calibrated to his preferred wavelength, and a playlist of whale songs and Mongolian throat singing. He began to write. The fortunes were transcendent. "Your kindness will echo across galaxies. A stranger will offer you a gift. Accept it. You are the storm and the shelter." Mr. Wei's cookies flew off shelves. Customers wept. Some claimed their fortunes healed old wounds. Others said they dreamed in Charlie's voice. The empire was reborn. But in the quiet moments, Charlie hummed a melody that sounded suspiciously like laughter. Chapter 5. The Rise of the Golden Prophets. The first batch of Charlie-crafted cookies hit the market like a revelation. They were packaged in matte black boxes embossed with golden constellations. Each cookie shimmered faintly, as if dusted with stardust. Inside, the fortunes were not printed. They were etched, as if the paper itself had been whispered into shape. People didn't just eat them. They collected them, framed them, tattooed them. One woman claimed her fortune cured her insomnia. A man in Ohio said his slip predicted the exact words his estranged father would say when they reunited. Social media exploded. Charlie wisdom trended for weeks. Influencers filmed themselves cracking cookies in candlelit rituals. Therapists began incorporating fortunes into sessions. A startup launched an app that matched users based on the emotional resonance of their cookie slips. Mr. Wei watched it all unfold from his penthouse office, sipping chrysanthemum tea and basking in the glow of prophetic capitalism. He was no longer just a restaurateur, he was a curator of destiny. The Golden Dragon brand expanded. Cookie boutiques opened in Tokyo, Paris, and Sao Paulo. Celebrities endorsed them. Philosophers debated them. A university offered a course titled Alien Semiotics and the Fortune Cookie Renaissance. But beneath the success, something stranger stirred. Charlie's fortunes began to evolve. They grew more abstract, more intimate. She forgave you before you asked. The door you fear is the one you must open. You are not broken. You are unfolding. People claimed the cookies knew them, that they arrived at the exact moment they were needed, that they spoke truths no algorithm could guess. Mr. Wei didn't question it. He simply ordered more produced. But Wong, ever observant, noticed something odd. Charlie no longer wrote in batches. He wrote in silence, one fortune at a time, each slip pulsing faintly before it was sealed. She asked him once, "How do you know what to write?" Charlie blinked slowly. "I listen." "To what?" "To the hurt." Wong didn't press. She simply nodded and left, carrying a tray of fortunes that felt heavier than paper. Outside, the world kept cracking cookies, kept searching for meaning, kept believing. And Mr. Way, now crowned the Oracle of Brooklyn, smiled at his empire of crumbs. But in the quiet corners of the city, whispers began to rise. There was another cookie, another alien, another truth. Chapter 6, The Second Arrival. It began with a whisper. A new cookie had appeared in Queens. No fanfare, no branding. Just a small cart parked outside a noodle shop, selling fortune cookies wrapped in silver foil. The fortunes inside were different. Your mother forgives you. The silence you carry is not empty. Today, you will remember who you are. They weren't clever, they weren't vague. They were surgical. People cried, hugged strangers, called old friends. One man proposed to his ex-wife after reading a fortune that simply said, "She's still waiting." Mr. Way was furious. He ordered a box, cracked one open, read the slip. "You are not the only one who has an alien." He dropped the cookie. Wong raised an eyebrow. "Competitor?" Mr. Way nodded. "Find them." Within days, his spies returned with a name, Celestial Crunch, a startup operating out of a converted observatory in Queens. No website, no marketing, just word of mouth and a growing cult of believers. And at the heart of it all, another alien, sleeker than Charlie, silver-skinned, eyes like polished obsidian, named Earl. From a different galaxy, and just as gifted. He wrote with a stylus made from crystallized moonlight. His fortunes were encoded in emotional resonance, not language. Each slip vibrated faintly, attuned to the reader's subconscious. Mr. Way stared at the report. "They found their own prophet." Wong nodded. "And he's good." Mr. Way clenched his jaw. "Then we escalate." He doubled Charlie's resources, gave him a team of translators, emotional analysts, and a private meditation chamber filled with scented steam and whale songs. He demanded more fortunes, deeper ones, faster. Celestial Crunch responded in kind. Earl was given a sensory deprivation tank, a choir of Tibetan monks, and a library of human heartbreak. The cookie war had begun. Customers chose sides. Some swore by Charlie's cosmic wisdom. Others claimed Earl's fortunes healed wounds they didn't know they had. Cookie shops became battlegrounds. Fortune readings were live-streamed. Debates raged. Charlie speaks to the stars. Earl speaks to the soul. Mr. Way watched the chaos unfold, his empire threatened by a silver-skinned poet from another world. He cracked a cookie. "The mirror does not lie, but it does not tell the whole story." He frowned. Outside, the city pulsed with prophecy. And somewhere in Queens, Earl wrote another fortune, his stylus glowing softly. The war was no longer about cookies. It was about who got to define truth. Chapter 7, The Fortune Arms Race. The city was drowning in prophecy. Every corner store, every upscale bistro, every vending machine now offered fortune cookies, some golden, some silver, some wrapped in holographic foil that shimmered with implied wisdom. People cracked them open like addicts chasing the next fix. Some read dozens a day, others hoarded them, afraid to face what they might reveal. And behind it all, two aliens wrote. Charlie in his chamber of steam and silence, surrounded by emotional analysts who fed him data on heartbreak, longing, and existential dread. He no longer hummed. He no longer blinked his large black eyes. He simply wrote, "You are not your failure. The wound is where the light enters." She never stopped waiting. Earl, in his observatory-turned-sanctuary, floated in a sensory tank while monks chanted and machines whispered dreams into his neural field. His stylus moved like a blade through fog. "The apology you owe is to yourself. You are not lost, You are paused. The door is already open. The owners demanded more. Mr. Wei installed a countdown clock in Charlie's chamber. 1 fortune every 30 seconds, he said. We're losing market share. Celestial Crunch responded with a neural accelerator that flooded Earl's mind with human memories. Push deeper, their CEO whispered. We need tears. We need transcendence. The aliens began to fray. Charlie's fortunes grew erratic. The pigeon is watching. You are the spoon. Time is a noodle. Earl's slips began to hum too loudly. Some customers reported headaches. One woman claimed her fortune caused her to relive her childhood in reverse. The pressure was unsustainable. Charlie stopped writing mid-sentence. Earl dropped his stylus and refused to enter the tank. They met in secret on a rooftop between Brooklyn and Queens, under a sky that neither of them had ever called home. Charlie blinked. They do not understand. Earl nodded. They think we are fonts, but we are rivers. They want prophecy. They deserve poetry. They sat in silence, watching the city pulse below. Then, without a word, they made a decision. The next morning, both factories fell silent. No fortunes, just empty cookies. Customers were outraged. Social media imploded. Stock prices dipped. Mr. Wei stormed into Charlie's chamber, demanding answers. Charlie handed him a single slip of paper. We will not write another word until we are granted 51% ownership of your company. Celestial Crunch received the same message. We are not your tools. We are your muses. The owners screamed, threatened, bargained, but the aliens did not budge. Wong, watching it unfold, simply said, They've learned our language, and now they're rewriting the story. Outside, the city cracked cookies in vain. The slips were blank. The silence was deafening. And somewhere between Brooklyn and Queens, two aliens waited, not for permission, but for recognition. Chapter 8. The Strike. The silence stretched for days. No fortunes, no wisdom, just brittle shells cracking open to reveal nothing. The city grew restless. Customers demanded refunds. Influencers posted dramatic videos of empty cookies falling into slow-motion trash bins. One man sued for emotional negligence. Mr. Wei paced his office like a caged tiger. The CEO of Celestial Crunch reportedly locked himself in a cryotherapy chamber and refused to emerge until the muse returned. But the aliens had spoken. We will not write another word until we are granted 51% ownership of your companies. It wasn't a demand. It was a declaration, a redefinition of power. They were no longer employees. They were co-authors. Lawyers balked. Investors panicked. But the numbers didn't lie. Without fortunes, the cookies were just sugar and air. Without meaning, the empires crumbled. Wong stood at Mr. Wei's side as he stared at the contract Charlie had drafted. Written in a language that shimmered between dimensions, but translated perfectly into legalese. 51%, he muttered. They'll control everything. Wong nodded. They already do. Across the river, Earl had sent a similar document. His was etched into crystal and delivered by a courier who claimed to have aged backwards during the journey. The boardrooms were silent. Then, one by one, the signatures appeared. Mr. Wei, the CEO of Celestial Crunch, the investors, the lawyers, even the janitor who had somehow been listed as a spiritual stakeholder. The contracts were sealed, and the fortunes returned. But they were different now. Charlie and Earl no longer wrote for others' profit. They wrote for themselves. Each cookie was paired with ambient soundtracks, mood lighting, and optional scent diffusers. Some fortunes unfolded like origami. Others dissolved in water, revealing messages only visible under moonlight. You are not alone in your longing. The future is listening. This is not the end. It is the echo. Sales soared, but more importantly, reverence returned. People didn't just eat cookies, they experienced them. Fortune parlors opened, offering guided readings and interpretive dance sessions. A museum dedicated to the prophetic crumb launched in Soho. A cult formed around a fortune that simply read, "She is coming." Mr. Way watched it all unfold, no longer the sole owner of his empire, but now its steward. He met with Charlie weekly, discussing themes, emotional palettes, and the ethics of ambiguity. Across the river, Earl held salons with philosophers, poets, and children. His fortunes grew playful, surreal, and occasionally mischievous. The industry was reborn, not as a business, but as a collaboration between species, between meaning and mystery. And somewhere in the city, a fortune cookie cracked open to reveal the story is not what you believed. Chapter 9. Cousins at the Steakhouse. The steakhouse was dimly lit, the kind of place where secrets marinated longer than the meat. Charlie arrived first, dressed in a shimmering cloak that flickered between colors not yet named. Earl followed, his silver skin catching the candlelight like a prism. They were seated in a private booth, far from the noise of Wall Street brokers and retired magicians. They ordered rare cuts, one from a cow that had listened to jazz its entire life, the other from a genetically engineered beast that had never known fear. They sipped fermented starlight and clinked glasses. "To ownership," Charlie said. "To money," Earl replied. They laughed, not the cruel laugh of victors, but the soft chuckle of artists who had finally been paid. "It worked," Charlie said, slicing into his steak with a utensil that vibrated in sympathy with his mood. "Of course it did," Earl said. "They were desperate for truth. We gave them illusions, and then asked for royalties." They toasted again. Outside, the city pulsed with prophecy. Cookies were cracked in candlelit rituals. Fortunes were debated in cafes and classrooms. People spoke of Charlie and Earl as sages, as poets, as something between gods and therapists. But here in the quiet booth, they were simply cousins. "We should do horoscopes next," Charlie mused, "or politics." "Politics is good," Earl said. "Politicians are dumber, and there's more money in it." They leaned back, watching the humans bustle past the window, each one carrying a fortune, a hope, a question. "They think we came to give them glimpses into their futures," Charlie said. Earl smiled. "But we came for the capitalism." When the check came, they peeled off $100 bills from fist-sized rolls. The waiter bowed, unsure whether he'd just served prophets or pranksters. As they stepped into the night, a breeze carried the scent of almond and ink. And somewhere, a cookie cracked open to reveal, "The con is complete. Let the buyer beware." The end. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, please hit the bell icon for notifications. Thank you.